Welcome to Wasson Wire. Today we're talking about Anthony Loke's firm stance on aviation policy. The Minister of Transport, Anthony Loke, well, he recently made a really definitive statement in Parliament. It was all about that ongoing issue, pretty contentious, about airlines serving alcohol on flights. And, for the airlines themselves, this probably felt less like just another government briefing
Right.
and more like a strong defense of their right to make their own commercial decisions, their autonomy.
Exactly. And we really need to set the scene here because the context is super important. This wasn't just some off-the-cuff remark. He said this during the departmental summary for the 2026 budget response. So, politically charged environment.
Okay. High stakes then.
Definitely. He was directly answering questions from opposition MPs, specifically the MPs for Hulu, Selangor, and Besut from the opposition party Islamsi Malaysia. So he wasn't just sharing his thoughts. He was drawing a line in the sand for the government on how it views industry management.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that core message then. What was Loke's main point, his foundational argument?
It's actually pretty straightforward, but quite absolute. He said whether an airline serves alcohol on board, that's purely a commercial business decision. Period.
A business decision.
Yes. And the government, he made it very clear, will not step in. They won't impose some kind of blanket ban across the board.
That sounds like a really strong stand against, political interference in what should be market decisions.
It absolutely is. And if you look at the bigger picture, this isn't really about encouraging drinking or anything like that. It's about staying competitive globally. Loke was quick to back this up, too. He pointed out that this policy aligns Malaysia with standard practice across the international airline industry.
So, other major airlines do this.
Yeah, he mentioned some big names: Emirates, Etihad Airways, Qatar Airways, even Turkish Airlines and Garuda Indonesia. All successful carriers, many from Muslim-majority or diverse countries, and they operate with similar commercial freedom on this.
But why is this specific thing serving alcohol? Why is it so important that the transport minister has to defend it in Parliament? Is it really that big a deal for, the airline's profits?
Oh, it's vital, especially when you think about premium revenue. For these big international airlines, attracting those high-spending travelers, the ones flying business or first class on long-haul routes, that's crucial.
Right, the front of the plane.
Exactly. And these passengers, often they choose an airline based on the whole service package. And for many non-Muslim international travelers, having the option of alcoholic drinks is just, it's a standard expectation. So if our national carrier, Malaysia Airlines, or any other Malaysian international airline suddenly banned it completely, those high-value passengers, they might just choose to fly through Singapore or Bangkok instead.
So it becomes an economic issue.
Totally. Loke emphasized that. He said it's a core part of staying competitive in a global market that's worth, billions of ringgit.
Okay, that puts a completely different spin on it. It's less about morality and more about economic survival, really. So how does this big picture thinking translate down to the local level? Let's look at Malaysia Airlines specifically. How do they actually handle this? Balancing commercial needs with local sensitivities.
Well, Loke gave some pretty clear details on Malaysia Airlines' current policy, which, importantly, is self-regulated. It shows the industry isn't just ignoring local feelings. He confirmed that since way back, January 1st, 2016, actually.
Nearly a decade ago.
Yeah. Malaysia Airlines stopped serving alcohol on all its domestic flights within Malaysia.
Okay, so that's been the case for a while on domestic routes. What about international flights, then? What are the rules there?
Right. Internationally, it's different. The policy is based on two things: flight time and destination. Malaysia Airlines only offers alcohol on international routes if the flight time is longer than 3 hours.
Over 3 hours, okay.
And crucially, there are strict exceptions for religious sensitivity. Flights going to certain designated holy destinations, like Jeddah, for example, they absolutely do not serve any alcohol. Doesn't matter how long the flight is.
No alcohol at all on those specific routes.
None. And the way they manage this whole thing day to day is also quite interesting. They use what's called an on-demand supply system.
On-demand supply. What does that mean exactly? Do you have to ask for it, especially is it hidden away?
It means it's there, but it's deliberately kept out of sight, not promoted. Basically, the cabin crew will only provide an alcoholic drink if a passenger specifically asks for it.
Ah, okay, so they're not wheeling the cart down the aisle, offering it to everyone.
Exactly. It's a logistical compromise, really. The supply is there to meet that commercial expectation from international passengers. But by making it on demand, they keep it very low key. It minimizes the visibility in the cabin, which addresses the cultural and religious sensitivities, but still caters to the demand that helps their bottom line.
Right. I can see how that's an attempt to balance things, even if it might be a bit awkward sometimes. Luke did acknowledge the need to respect the faith of Muslim passengers. That's clearly the concern driving the opposition questions. But he seemed very firm that the policy has to also work for non-Muslims and foreign visitors.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance. And this brings up another important point Loke made about politics. He didn't just defend the airlines, he actually called out the MPs involved. He asked them to stop politicizing how the aviation industry operates.
He told them to back off, essentially.
Pretty much. His argument was very pragmatic. He said, look, this arrangement, the domestic ban, the 3-hour rule, the on-demand system, it's been working for years, decades even.
Huh.
It hasn't caused major problems. So stirring up controversy now, he suggested it was unwarranted, maybe more about political points than actual policy issues.
His message really felt like a call for, well, maturity, mutual respect. He urged everyone, across the political divide to respect sensitivities, but also respect the systems that have allowed things to function okay for a long time.
And this is where you see, I think, a measure of his political independence, perhaps. Because he didn't just push back against the opposition, he also publicly addressed that quite controversial suggestion made earlier by one of his own party colleagues.
Oh, really? From his own party?
Yeah, the member of parliament for Kipong. The suggestion was that if the opposition party disagreed so much, they should just go form their own Party Islam See Malaysia airline.
Wow. Okay, that's quite something. Publicly disagreeing with your own team member on something like that takes guts. How did Loke justify shooting that down?
His reasoning was all about regulation and professionalism, purely practical. He stated very clearly, publicly, that he disagreed with the idea because political parties shouldn't be running airlines. Simple as that. He pointed out that running an airline involves incredibly strict licensing, tough safety rules, complex operations. It's just not something suited for a political entity. He was basically saying this is a serious regulated business, not a political playground in tone. It showed that, for him, the integrity and standards of the aviation sector were more important than, say, scoring a quick political point or even internal party harmony on this.
Yeah, I think that really sums up the core message here. Luke gave a very strong defense of the industry's right to make its own commercial calls, urging respect for how they balance international needs and local sensitivities instead of, challenging established policies just for political gain.
Exactly. And understanding why these policies are defended this way, it's crucial if you want to grasp how the government tries to juggle these two pressures. On one hand, genuine religious and cultural sensitivities. On the other, keeping Malaysia relevant and competitive economically in a really tough global industry. Because if politics constantly overrides commercial sense in a sector like aviation, you don't just risk hurting the national airline, you risk hurting the whole economy that depends on that international connection.
It definitely leaves you thinking. If political pressure did manage to force a total ban on alcohol service on all flights, what would the immediate actual financial hit be for Malaysia Airlines? How much would it hurt their ability to compete for those premium passengers against airlines in Singapore or Thailand that don't have such restrictions? It makes you wonder if the cost of ideological purity, in this case, could be measured directly in ringgit and lost market share.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.